5 Spanish mistakes you need to avoid, and here's what you could say instead. Let's get to it. Mistake number 1. We don't say yo gusto or yo no gusto. No, in Spanish, you don't like or dislike things. Things either appeal to you or not. So if we literally translate I like coffee in Spanish, it would come out to me, coffee is appealing. Or in Spanish, me gusta el café. So when we talk about things that either appeal to us or not, there's a spectrum of different verbs that you could use, like gustar, encantar, fascinar. Whenever you use these verbs, you have to use indirect object pronouns. Like me, te, le, nos, and les. When you use verbs like gustar, you have 2 options. You can either have a singular ending with an a, like gusta, fascina, encanta, or a plural ending like gustan, fascinan, encantan. You just have to add an n. And what defines if you use the singular or plural form? The object that we're talking about. If you want to say something like, I love tacos, tacos being plural, I would have to use me fascinan, ending with an n, los tacos. Or if I wanted to say, y'all love the book being singular, I would have to say, a ustedes les gusta el libro. Gusta without an n. Mistake number 2. You're not your thirst, your hunger, your sleep, and other needs. You just have them. In Spanish, you're not identified by your needs, which is why we use tener instead of ser or estar. For example, tengo hambre, I have hunger. Tienes sueño, you have sleep. Tenemos sed, we have thirst. And there are so many different instances where you can ask questions and give answers using tener in conversations. For example, ¿tienes hambre? No, no tengo hambre. ¿De qué tienes ganas? Tengo ganas de unas vacaciones. ¿Cuántos años tienes? Tengo 50 años. Mistake number 3. Don't overuse muy bueno. Muy bueno only works when you're talking about an object. For example, ¿cómo está la sopa? Muy buena. I'm using buena because soup is feminine. If you want to talk about yourself being okay, you will use bien instead. And if you want to talk about something even more general, let's say, for example, we're having a conversation, I'm just telling you about the promotion that I had today. You would have to say que bien instead of muy bien. I know that que bien and muy bien sound like they're very similar, but there's a very slight difference in the tone that they both have. Muy bien works when you're talking about yourself or somebody else's condition because it almost has a validating aspect to it. When you're using que bien instead, you're removing yourself from it. It's not your opinion anymore. Whenever you want to express your happiness about something, just go with que bien. Que bien is honestly underrated because you could use que bien for everything. ¿Cómo estás? Estoy muy bien. Ah, qué bien. So basically, use bueno, buena, buenos, buenas when you're talking about an object that is easily identified by gender and by quantity. Use bien when you're talking about something a little bit too general, but you do have to make sure that you use muy bien and que bien appropriately. Mistake number 4. Not using a. This is one example of Spanish not using the same structure as English. A is a tiny word that gives clarity in almost every sentence involving people or animals. When we're trying to say, I'm looking for my friend, in Spanish, you'd have to add a to separate looking for and my friend, the actions that we do to the person or animals receiving them. We need to say instead, busco a mi amiga. Another example is I call my mom. You would have to change it to I call to my mom. So in Spanish, the a, llamo a mi mamá, would be the bridge between the action and the receiver. And that takes us to mistake number 5. Not using voy a enough. To go to in Spanish is used all the time to talk about things that you're about to do in 5 minutes, that you're gonna do maybe in a few days or in a few hours, maybe down the line in 5 years. It's so vague, it's almost like a secret power that you could use to sound like a native. Just start using the conjugation of the verb ir, yo voy, tú vas, él va, ella va, nosotros vamos, ustedes, ellos, ellas van. Add an a after that conjugation and then attach any verb. So for example, voy a comer. Vas a ir al aeropuerto. Vamos a vernos. Van a salir. And again, I'm not necessarily specifying a timeline. It's just very vague, and it almost is more realistic to talk with voy a than it is to conjugate tenses in the present tense. Anyways, hagamos un recap. Let's do a recap. Number 1, use the pronouns me, te, le, nos, les when using verbs like gusta, encanta, parece, importa. Number 2, you have needs, you're not your needs. So use the conjugations of tener, yo tengo, tú tienes, él, ella, usted tiene, nosotros, nosotras tenemos, ellos, ellas, ustedes tienen, to describe things like hunger, to be sleepy, to be thirsty, or even to crave something. Number 3, bueno, buena, buenos, buenas describes objects that have gender and quantity. And bien describes actions or states. If you're gonna go for states or conditions, use muy. If you're going for actions, then you might want to be careful and try seeing, depending on the conversation, if you want to use que instead. Number 4, when an action goes towards a person or an animal, use a. Finding your mom, calling your friends, taking your dog out for a walk, buying your friends a gift. All of those actions will need a in Spanish. And number 5, use voy a more. Vamos a comer, vamos a vernos mañana, dónde van a estar, and so on. If you made a mistake related to any of these topics, I would love to read the story time in the comments. And if you still have any questions regarding any of the topics that we covered or anything else regarding Spanish, I'm gonna leave the link down below where you could book a one-on-one lesson with me, and I can design Spanish lessons specifically targeted to your needs. In the meantime, I hope you stay safe, healthy. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.